Well, greetings, friends. Thank you for joining me. Today's reading is Job chapters 38 to 40. And in our reading today, God comes into the conversation. He speaks. Let me say, God always gets the last word. And the first thing God did was he asked a question. In verse number 4 of chapter 38, he says, "Where were you at creation?" And then he begins talking about his great creation. He starts off with the seas, and I look out here over the ocean, and I think of how vast the ocean is and how small we are. And then he talks about the clouds, the stars, the light and the darkness. And in chapter 39, he goes into the animals. He talks about the goats, the donkeys, the wild ox, the ostrich, and the horses. And finally, in chapter 40, Job stops and interrupts just a moment, and he says, "I am of small account." In other words, I'm just such a little thing in all this creation. I've thought about sometimes when we're flying and looking down upon the earth, and we're so high, and the cars are so small, and I think about people inside those cars, and that's God's perspective. He is so big and we are so small. And then in chapter 40 verse 9, God says, "Have you an arm like God?" The obvious answer to that is no. We are not like God. We can't do what God can do. He created this vast universe, and we are just a small part of it. So God is able, and we find that Job never got the answer of why he had to suffer. And God is not going to always give us an answer, but we only need to know how big God is. So in other words, if we don't get our answer, that's okay. We just need to know that God is able. If our physical ailments are too big, or our financial problems are so big, and relational problems are so big, we can't handle it. But God is a big God. He's created this whole universe, and he can handle the situation. So I encourage you, my friends, when you face something far bigger than you, remember, we've got a God. When we look in through the binoculars, I've thought about binoculars, and I look through one end of the binoculars, and everything is so small and far away, but you look through the other end, and it's all big, and it's closer to us. I want to say, God is a big God. We're small. He's big. He can answer and solve our problems. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.